Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today is another LEGO Top 10 MOCs of the Week episode where I show you guys the coolest custom creations I happen to find people building in LEGO bricks throughout this last week. Like always, way more than just 10 cool creations get built each week, so there's links to a ton of people all in the description below. If you have any extra time, I highly recommend you check out some of their Flickrs or Instagrams or whatever they happen to be posting on. First, before we jump into honorable mentions, I would like to say that the custom building instructions that have popped up in the web store for us this week come from the designer Alex Capodre, and these are 3 different nano-scale Star Wars ships. You've got the Pelta class frigate, the Consular class cruiser, and the Hammerhead corvette. The details are excellent. He uses some fun techniques, and yes, they do scale with the Star Destroyer Eviscerator, as well as all the other nanoscale ships that enter into this fleet size. You can find the instructions at www.brickvault.toys. Great way to help support the channel. All right, let's jump into some honorable mentions of the week. Jake of Nerogue built the Cloudstone Castle. Awesome stonework detailing. I like the almost glowing blue effect that he managed to get in the shallow water as well. Kale Frost's Cruella Duvel is extremely expressive. Kong Hyun built the Island Fortress. I love the use of interesting tan pieces, and the color combinations in general really pop. Then we have this wonderful perspective shot from Nathan Smith titled Seaside Ruins. Despite the fact there's so much clutter and chaos within the ruins, you can still see some excellent floor tile detailing at the bottom when you look close. Alex Park Designs has an interesting title, Top 10 Most Evil Warrior Cats, and in the description he says it was built for the final round of Gourd Party. Not everything here is built with 100% Lego, but it's close enough and disturbing enough that I thought I just might bring this one to your attention. I found this photo from Kyle Peckham. It is titled Whizzing Arrow 2. The original design is from Iron Honor, and it's just a wonderful beefy off-weight design. From the builder Barnius, this is an 8-stud wide Lamborghini Countach, and there's just something so awesome about this car. It has inspired builders to tackle it over and over and over again at all the different scales, and this is easily one of the best iterations that I've ever seen. It's essentially built at the now contemporary Speed Champion scale. Lastly, for honorable mentions, we've got another fun post from Ochre Jelly. The title is I Thought They Smelled Bad on the Outside, and I feel like the effect of this build is cheapened somewhat if I have to explain any of this image to you. All right, let's jump into the top 10. This first model up here was not built from this last week. I only noticed sort of right here as I'm recording, but from Brick Duvel, this is Charlemagne, and it is an absolutely massive ship. A lot of the conventional techniques usually used for creating the outer body of a large ship like this had to be sort of scrapped because he just decided to make it so darn massive. The rigging is incredibly complex, and there are so many wonderful shapes and sizes and details on this model that you really can't get too specific when poring over the images. All you know is that it's probably one of the biggest sail ships of this kind built in LEGO bricks ever. Let's change gears with number 9, Finn Roberts titled this Elegant, and the inspiration for this particular design comes from Simead's Sentinel 400 Limo. My mind immediately went to the Cyberpunk game, but what we have here is a wonderful combination between some classic car styles, maybe even old classic like 1950s, but married with a very specific kind of futuristic sleekness. The covered wheels in the back are an excellent touch. The elongated rear lights also have an excellent way of just completing a different kind of look. In no particular order, we're moving down to number 8. This is from Inthert. The builder Inthert has created the design Antibody Intercept Craft. Look closely here because every single angle counts and they all match up with no gaps. I mean, really, like when you look at all the different weird layers that are all connecting in subtle, strange ways, Inthert, the designer, has given you 0 strange spaces, small areas where maybe some of the angles didn't quite meet each other perfectly. That doesn't exist. They all meet each other perfectly, and it is absolutely a treat to look at such crazy techniques working so well, so consistently. On top of that, the techniques allow for a very interesting kind of starship design. Looks like you've got extremely posable turrets on both the top and bottom of the ship, and this is just one of those designers that I always am blown away by every time something new comes from their photo stream. Here's a fun little build from Simon Liu. This is titled FrogPrince. I love I'm assuming the seed piece for the frog face in the front somewhat subverts the idea of a frog prince as well, just from the fantasy, which is a great little touch. And the use of the gold pieces as highlights throughout the entire suit of armor works really well here, because being a prince, I would assume he would have very royal, very regal, ornate armor. Fun techniques. I just like this creature and this little vibe that we have here. And now we're jumping on to another build from Simon Liu. I actually haven't looked at the designer names. I try not to when I look at images, so I'm just discovering this right now. But here's the next one, and it's also from the same designer. This is Oceania AH-64X Apache, and it is just such a striking looking helicopter build. The techniques are wonderful. I love that the helicopter is built in the sand blue. The sticker detailing is pretty subtle, but also adds a lot of personality to this build, and it's definitely one of my personal favorite helicopters from throughout this last year. Number 5 is from the builder Thomas Jenkins. The title is Cicada, and that is exactly what you're looking at. I don't know if it's a one-to-one scale. It almost could be. Cicadas are absolutely massive, and this really does look awesome with so many unconventional pieces being used to fill out the body. Funny enough, the main body piece being used for the bug is actually a brick-built figure torso. I can see an inverted tire tread at some point, and of course a bit of bionicle to make up the front of the face. Everything works on this build. There is zero fat to this model, and if you've ever lived in an area with cicadas, you could probably hear the sound just by looking at this thing. Now, next up, number 4 is from the designer Koen Zwanenburg. This is Varactyl, and this is the build that everybody wishes the original Lego set actually looked like. In the description, Koen says that the Ninjago Jungle Dragon set that recently came out somewhat reminded him of the old school Varactyl, and that's what inspired him to try and recreate this Star Wars creature. Love the shaping for the head. I think that really is the strongest point for this model, but the lizard's body is excellent, with the ability for the tail and sort of back end of the body to start arching upwards, and then presumably there seems to be a lot of posability that's included with this build as well, which I think is really important. It is such an awesome model. And now we are moving on to number 3. I'm always blown away by underwater seawater scenes with all the different details on the ocean floor. It is no different this time around for this build, but there's also a pretty big element of drama included as well, with this gigantic, huge spider-like squid. The title is Subnautica. The builder is Lysander's Stud Studio, and this build was inspired by the Subnautica game. The submarine down below is called the Sea Moth. I love that he created a spiral bubble effect coming out the back. That's such a fun, subtle detail. The color for the coral and all the sea life looks amazing. And then this creature, this monster, the sea monster that's following him, really does possess a lot of unique and creepy qualities that are all too deserving of the title Sea Monster. I don't know if that's actually what he's calling it though. And now we're jumping over to another Star Wars themed build that I didn't realize was a Star Wars themed build until sort of after looking through many of these pictures. This is from Juergen, and the title is VN25 Treadable. This is the vehicle that Lando drove around in Pisana. It is essentially a single independent track vehicle. Technically, it's 2 treads that are very close together that can change orientation, so it does have the ability to turn on its own. And then there's actually an interior on the inside. I'd kind of just forgotten about this vehicle entirely, and I hadn't really thought about it until I saw this model. It is such a good Lego rendition. I love the brick-built treads. It really does add a lot of personality here. And there's just this kind of gritty, beefy nature to this creation that makes me enjoy it so much. I really do feel like this would look so cool next to our sand crawler as a fun, different desert vehicle that treads around. Let's jump on over to the last build of the week. This is from Norton74. The title is Sweet Tooth Cabin. This builder has a very long and colorful track record of being able to create cluttered and dirty and lived-in nature scenes, often with old semi-rundown structures. And in my opinion, the techniques being used here are only improving over time, if anything else. It's one of these models that you can take a long look at and just discover fun different pieces that are being used just kind of all over the place. There's some excellent techniques and some fun part choices that make up certain areas of semi-innocuous pieces of details. But just keep looking closely at a build like this and you will find more and more fun details to fall in love with. And as you zoom out, the atmosphere feels very complete, and I just don't think we'll ever stop enjoying wonderful diorama pieces like this in Lego bricks. So anyways, that's it for my personal favorite top 10 mocks of the week. Remember, links to everybody all in the description below. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoy our content, you can always like, subscribe, comment, share, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.